yet another episode of the Speak Out, how everything matters. How you doing? My name is Samuel G. Wainaina. Today, we do some blogging, and I've come to realize that most bloggers have specs. Nelson,
Yes.
thank you so much for making time for the Speak Out.
Thank you for having me, Sam.
So, tell us first, why is it that many bloggers wear specs? Ni vile umekuja kwa toa.
That's a stereotype. But to answer your question, it's because bloggers have perfected the art of seeing in between the lines.
Oh my God.
That's what makes us good at what we do.
Because okay, I'm done. Nelson,
Yes.
the word of blogging, tell us about it.
First of all, thank you so much again for having me in your show.
Karibu sana.
Second of all, I hardly consider myself a blogger.
Why?
Well, I am a blogger, yes, yeah.
Okay.
But I resonate more with writing,
Mm-hmm.
whereby my writing has been progressive over time, yeah.
That's right.
I started with writing journals.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're familiar with this statement where people go like, oh, dear diary, and you document almost everything that happens in your life. So I started by doing that, and it progressed to a point where I started writing down lyrics to songs, and then suddenly that stopped, and I entered into now this art. I call it art in a way that I myself can't even fully describe what it really is, but through blogging, it gives me a platform to air out what I write.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So I've seen blogs where the bloggers write about politics, fashion, cooking. What do you normally focus on?
I focus on human experience, humanity as a large, the way people reason, the way people live their lives, the way people do their daily activities, and I tend to go deeper into it at a much complex level. Yeah.
So what will you never write about in your blogging journal?
In my blogging journal.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, politics.
There's no way
there is no way possible I'll ever sit down and write a piece about politics.
Why?
Well,
And the way politics have content.
I think it's because of this mentality that politics is a dirty game,
Okay.
and everything, but unless I get a really deep inspiration.
Are you saying you are a clean man?
Yes, I'm very clean. I'm a very clean person.
Alright then, alright
so to
then.
say. Or unless I get an inspiration where it really comes out that I have to write something about it. Because again, with writing, you don't just wake up one day and decide to write. Some of us do, but some of us have to. It's a process where you have to actually internalize and think what it is you want to write about.
All right then. So a while back, I had a conversation with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's a writer, and he told me he writes because of his childhood experiences. So as a blogger, what drives you?
That's a good question. There are mainly two things that drive my writing.
Okay.
One is my memory. Two is a book.
A book.
A book that is commonly known throughout. In fact, this book is the only book that has the most millions sold copies all around the world.
Wow.
This book, it's the only book ever in human history to ever document the life of humanity. And this book is the only book that cuts across time and dimensions in a way that it resonates with the past, present, and future. And this book is the Holy Bible.
Wow. I did see that coming.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Many don't.
And I hope you are taking notes. So Nelson, I want to take a short break so that you can tell us more about what you are writing. Remember the Speak Out all socials, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and huko utatupata. Welcome back. The Speak Out continues. Nelson,
Yes.
you're telling us about memory and the Bible.
Yeah.
Kindly elaborate on that.
So memory, yeah? Have you ever looked at something, let's say a piece of clothing or a photograph, and automatically all these flashes just come running down your mind. Let's say you have a photograph of something, yeah, a good time, yeah, with your friends. You immediately remember that, yeah. So in my writing, whenever I look at something that can either be of significance or just anything, the mind is a very complex thing, so nobody really understands it, yeah. So when I look at something, immediately I see flashes in my mind, and I tend to understand more what they are trying to tell me, what they are trying to talk about. And the end result is going to be me sitting down somewhere with a piece of pen and paper and writing something down. Yeah. So that's how memory works.
Like the Bible now.
Yeah. The Bible. Well, according to what I told you earlier, I focus more on humanity, how they live, try to understand humanity more. Yeah? And what better source of information do you have that literally, like I've told you, this piece of book is one that talks about the past, the present, and the future of human events, yeah? And it also gets to explain further of how human beings have been living on this earth. So there's a lot of information down there. So if you get to understand it and interpret it well, perfection comes out.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So when you talk of writing articles, you post them. Where can people find your work?
I have a blog website. I registered with WordPress.com. Most bloggers start with that, yeah.
Okay.
So my blog name is called Mementos of Ewen.
Mementos of Ewen.
Mementos, M-E-M-E, Mementos of Ewen. The mementos part comes because of memory. A memento is a memory of something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mementos. Okay.
Mementos
That's
of
nice.
Ewen.
So I'm trying to imagine the number of articles that you have written. Tell us about your best article.
My best article.
Yeah.
I actually have two articles. Yeah.
Okay.
One is called The Art of Circles.
Art of Circle.
In a nutshell, the Art of Circles talks about how humanity in itself is just a circle that surrounds itself. What the events that are happening right now happened thousands of years ago. The events that happened, like let's say 300, 400 years ago, are what is happening now.
Okay.
So
It's like a replay.
it's like a replay of what happens. Yeah. The other one is called Checkmate, the grand seduction of mind.
Oh my God.
This piece talks about how us as human beings, we are all asleep. We have all been mentally enslaved by the media, by these big corporations, in a way that we are no longer original. We've lost our authenticity. So this piece urges people outside there, wake up from this deep sleep that you are in, and see what is happening around you, and it will surprise you. Actually, you'll be shocked at what happens.
So,
us, yeah. Checkmate, the grand seduction of mind.
The grand seduction of, oh my God, young men, young women out there who like to be bloggers like you. Tell them something.
So the advice I'd give to many young bloggers and writers outside there, because bloggers are writers, yeah, in a way. Don't write for the sake of attention. Don't write in order for your piece to get seen by so many people. Write from the heart, because once it comes from deep inside, trust you me, you'll rather impact one person than have millions of people see your work and say, this is good work, but it just goes by.
That's big. You write from your heart.
Write from your heart. Try to target at least one or two people whose lives are going to be changed by your article.
Wow. Nelson Ewen.
Yes.
Thank you so much for making time for the Speak Out.
Thank you for
Thank you so much for telling those guys about blogging. Checkmate. I must look for that. Asante sana. Well, and that marks the end of the Speak Out today. But before I leave, I'll tell you about the next episode of the Speak Out. It will be the season finale of season 2. Trust me, you have never seen anything like it. It will be fun. Keep it. The Speak Out.